Hello, 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 hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel, share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. So, today we are looking at the industrial development plan, okay, during the second national planning in Nigeria, the industrial development plan during the second development plan in Nigeria. Now, at the end of the war in 1970, the overall government program towards moving the country forward was encapsulated in the policy of the three R's, that is, reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. The focus was to reconcile the people and to rehabilitate and reconstruct existing infrastructures and businesses. To this end, the focus of industrial development under the second national development plan, that was between 1970 to 1974, was to promote even development and fair distribution of industries in all parts of the country, as well as ensure rapid expansion and diversification of the industrial sector of the economy, you know, increase incomes realized from manufacturing activities, create more employment opportunities, promote the establishment of industries which cater for overseas market, and in order to earn foreign exchange, continue the program of import substitution, and raise the level of intermediate and capital goods production, initiate schemes designed to promote indigenous manpower development in the industrial sector, and raise the proportion of indigenous ownership of industrial investments. Now, was indeed this period was indeed remarkable in the sense that for the first time the country had sufficient revenue, accruing mainly from its first oil boom, with which it invested in several sectors of the economy, including industry. Okay, now this period also recorded prolonged military rule up to 1979, with the attendant problems of lack of proper planning, as well as absence of transparency and accountability, which have always characterized the military administrations in Africa. It was not surprising, therefore, that government, especially following its highly improved, resources, resource base, now sought to assert itself by taking over the commanding heights of the economy. Little wonder why the industrial programs of this period was characterized by investment, in heavy industries, including oil refineries, petrochemicals, liquefied natural gas, fertilizer, machine tools, aluminium smelting, textile, iron and steel, and motor assembly. At the same time, the location of these industries in some parts of the country, including Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Zaria, Port Harcourt, Enugu, and Aba, was almost guided, by economic considerations. Now, hence, the dispersion, of industrial location without regard to economic considerations, is a crucial factor in understanding the reasons for poor performance and international competitiveness, of such industries. Nevertheless, the new emphasis on importation, more finished goods were continually imported into the country, so much so that the local manufacturing was almost discouraged. But the jamboree was cut short by over importation and the sudden crash in the oil prices. Gradually, the country began to accumulate debts while government sought to introduce fresh policies, to manage the situation. But this, um, now, but by far the greatest development of the period was the introduction of the indigenization policy as contained, okay, in the Northern Enterprises Promotion Decree of 1972, which reserved certain categories of industrial activity, mostly services and manufacturing, for Nigerians. It has been suggested that the primary purpose of the indigenization decree was to compel foreign businesses in a large number of specified activities to transfer their ownership wholly or in part to private Nigerian investors and businesses. It also became apparent later that public share acquisition, that is by the federal government, statutory corporations or state governments, was interpreted as part of the program of indigenization. The decree initially categorized businesses into two schedules, with Schedule 1 containing enterprises that were strictly for Nigerians, while Schedule 2 contained those enterprises in which Nigerians must have at least 40% share. Furthermore, under a 1977 amendment, business enterprises were recategorized as follows. Under Schedule 1 were businesses to be 100% owned by Nigerians. Schedule 2 contained businesses in which Nigerians were to have at least 60% equity, while Schedule 3 contained businesses in which Nigerians would have at least 40% equity. In the same vein, a Nigerian Enterprises Promotion Board was set up to administer the decree, while a publicly funded Bank of Commerce and Industry was established, to provide finance for Nigerian purchasers. Also, commercial banks in which the federal government acquired 40% shares in 1973 were encouraged to advance more loans and advances to their Nigerian customers. Nevertheless, the indigenization program, under which Nigerians, shareholders obtained majority shares in companies, hardly changed the control of neither the companies nor the relationship with their parent companies. In fact, it was erroneously believed that majority equity ownership would confer control of the businesses and that the restricted expatriate quota in the industries would substantially enhance the transfer of technology to Nigerians. Instead, leadership, that is chairman of the board, which in most cases went without serious executive administrative responsibilities, was bequeathed to Nigerians, while the actual foreign owners still occupied almost all the strategic positions. Meanwhile, the sudden collapse of oil prices in the international market was to have more debilitating effect on Nigeria's economy and industries in particular. Unfortunately, government could not really rely on the productive sector, given that industries depended almost entirely on imported raw materials. However, even as importation continued, the need now arose for government to rationally allocate its limited resources and foreign exchange. Unfortunately, government's prioritization of its needs, did not favor industries. Several industries were for 2 years either paralyzed or forced to shed capacity due to their inability to secure import licenses to import vital inputs. In fact, it was from this period that corruption became a major issue in the post-independence Nigeria. The sourcing and sale of import licenses became big businesses for many. Okay, the adoption of structural adjustment program, led to the indigenization of Nigeria, given that it exposed local manufacturers to unfair competition from imports, as those invading the local markets were cheaper, though sometimes inferior to the ones produced locally. This put a lot of pressure on local manufacturing companies, as they were at a disadvantage in the struggle for market share. Based on the foregoing, it may therefore be said that the decade of 1990s, 1980s witnessed a deep crisis in the nation's industrial development, evidenced by steady decline in capacity utilization, deterioration of tools of production, and decay of capital assets in some cases, low rate of investment in industry, and in some cases the investment, as well as high cost, low quality, and hence uncompetitive products. Okay, so the industrial development in the second national development plan, okay, actually at some point was successful, but at another point, because of the introduction of structural adjustment program, it led to the deindustrialization of Nigeria. Okay, because of course, it exposed local manufacturers to unfair competition from imports, as those invading the local markets were cheaper. You understand? So what we are saying is that you cannot open up the economy for liberalization to take place, for more quality products, industrial products to come into the country, and yet you want the local industries, the infant industries, to compete with them. That cannot happen. It will lead to the deindustrialization of the country. Thank you very much.